Good afternoon, good morning. This is Mark Johnson from Loyalty360. Hope everyone's happy, safe, and well. Want to welcome you to another edition of Loyalty Live. In this series, we talk to the leading agencies, technology partners, and consultants in customer channel and brand loyalty about some of the technology trends and best practices that impact a brand's ability to drive unique experiences, enhance engagement, and most importantly, impact customer loyalty. It allows for deeper insight in the state of customer loyalty. As Loyalty360, we surface these challenges that we see from brand marketers through small-sided meetings and through membership engagements, and it allows these Loyalty Live sessions and these amazing leaders that we have from these agencies and technology partners to give their assessments of some of the challenges that we see in the market. And today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Bill Swift, who is the new Chief Executive Officer of Brierley. Bill, how are you today?
Good, Mark. Thank you. It's great to be here. Back in the office, as you can see.
Nice view you have there. Great to see that. For those who may not know you, we like to start these on a more personal note to get a little bit information about those who we're talking to. So we'd love to know a little bit more about yourself, your current role with Brierley, and your background.
Yeah, sure. I've been here for quite a while now. So I've been with the company for just over 20 years. My background, I guess, in a snapshot was computer science guy, mid 80s. I grew up in Michigan and had worked for electronic data systems, EDS. That's really how I originally got to be in Texas, where I'm still here. Not still, but back in Texas. So I moved to Texas in the late 80s with EDS and got into more international travel. And one thing that was interesting, I guess, as a segue into Brierley was my wife and I were living in London, and one of the last projects I had with EDS was part of an international standards organization, and I was a contributing author to a standard that had to do with customer management. So purely coincidental. And so I met our Brierley team at that time in London, met Hal Brierley for the first time. And as the company has evolved over 30 years, it really was a marketing agency focused on helping people design loyalty programs, specifically profitable programs, but we had no technology capability 20 years ago. So that's when I joined the company, and I was actually an architect, writing code back then. We got acquired 6 years ago by NRI. It's Nomura Research Institute based in Tokyo. So they're primarily a technology company, which has kind of fueled our transition of our company from being purely an agency towards more of a software company, and now I think continues to be pretty powerful on both fronts, strategy and technology. So that's it's kind of where we are now. We have a new platform, and we have that historical depth and consultative expertise. But yeah, my background here literally went from writing code to running the company. So I guess it took a while to get there, but that's where we are right now.
That's awesome. Another thing, like a fun fact about yourself: do you have 14 kids? Do you like to parachute? Do you like code? What's a fun fact? Something you really enjoy outside of your work role?
Yeah, fortunately not 14 kids, but I guess the thing that really comes to mind, we love to travel, obviously, and get around and meet new people in different parts of the world. But I think the biggest hobby I've had my whole life was running, and it's I don't know if it's a fun fact, but it's kind of unique. Ran several marathons and several of those crazy 200-mile relays through the Rockies and Kentucky, and so a lot of good times running. But one thing that's really happened a couple months ago was I was running on this trail in the dark and literally got attacked by an owl. Came out of nowhere, hit me in the back of the head. I was bleeding. Took his picture with my phone and just thought it was the craziest story. But the weird thing is since then, I see owls at least every week, if not consecutively every day. They're everywhere. It's really unusual. So hobby's a big, running's a big hobby for me and keeps me going and energized. And, everyone talks about clearing your head in the morning out on the run, but this owl thing has really kind of taken me by surprise and has become a big part of that. And I'm afraid to go out at night or in the dark.
Interesting. So it's because you were attacked by owl, you're just more cognizant of them and kind of aware and maybe.
I think so. I'm running and looking up in the trees instead of where I'm going. So it's kind of dangerous, but yeah, it's kind of cool. And I take a lot of pictures and kind of a part-time photographer on the weekends. So it's been an exciting past 6 months or so with birds and running.
Well, that's good. I'm not very much into running, and they don't allow owls into the gym usually, so I think I'm safe there, which is good. Recently it was announced that you transitioned roles from CTO to CEO. What are you looking forward to most about the role, and what are some valuable learnings you had in your CTO role that really prepare you for this new position?
It's been an exciting couple of weeks. So, really, truly, it's been about not even 2 weeks yet. So, but I'm really optimistic and excited about the opportunity. Our leadership team is in Japan, as you probably know. So my focus over the years has really been all about delivery. And as the chief technology officer responsible for not just our technology organization, but our product strategy and direction and delivery, our partner and vendor relationships, our client relationships, the quality of our delivery and SLAs, and just really pure technology. In the past couple of weeks now, it's just really quickly forced me to kind of broaden my horizons a bit, and in a good way. We had a company town hall, and it was really exciting. A lot of people back in the building, and a lot of we have this hybrid workforce, so we'll always have people distributed around the world. But got everyone together. It was really energizing. We had music. We had some really cool testimonial videos from our clients, and it was my first chance really to kind of set the stage for what's this next year look like, and to introduce our company goals around really the two that we focused on were client centricity and being a great place to work. So, historically, I'd get up and talk about our platform and our roadmap and success stories. And so it quickly shifted and kind of broadened into what do we need to do as a company to continue to grow internationally, to grow as a company and an organization. And technology is a big part of it, but we want to remind everyone, even within our four walls, that our differentiator is really around client success and our strategic thought leadership. You mentioned working with Don and our team on strategy and emotional loyalty and BLQ, and when you couple all those things together, it's really powerful. So yeah, I had to quickly kind of expand my horizons, jump into board meetings like the next day, and jump into the culture of the company and what are we doing next in terms of being a great place to work, and remaining with our SaaS-based platform, consciously remaining purely client-centric and client-focused.
That's awesome. One of the things that you and I talked about kind of leading up to this interview is that there's a lot of tech-related challenges for brands today. Keeping up with the advances in technology, the MarTech space is growing exponentially. Integrating systems, getting systems to work well, getting organizational buy-in from making investments, and then make sure you're having return on that investments. What are you seeing with regard to some of the challenges your clients have with regard to technology, and how do you address those challenges from a platform and or a strategy perspective?
Yeah, that's a good one. Actually, during the town hall, we put up a slide it's an industry common slide, like a word cloud that depicted the tech stack across all of marketing. And it's overwhelming, and so many, and we're kind of in this loyalty and customer experience niche, really, but there's so many surrounding and complementary technologies that need to come together to enable any program or experience. So I think the biggest challenges that we see, first, maybe from a technology perspective, is there's a lot of choices, there's a lot of complexity, and it's really important for an organization to focus on, have a vision. What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to put into market? And then break it into small pieces and incrementally get there over time. So a challenge that we see is kind of simplifying that complexity. There's a lot of choices that you mentioned. Systems integration, it's no light, most implementations, they revolve around integration. Loyalty kind of sits in the center of everything.
Right.
Store systems and e-com and the mobile app and the call center. And so there's a lot of people involved in these implementations. In order to be successful, our clients really have to be aligned at the top: marketing, technology, operations, e-com, and they all have to rally around the customer experience or program they're trying to enable, because all those groups have to come together and work together. And if you don't have strong project management discipline or strong presence in the conversation around both marketing strategy and systems integration, or led by, in our case, our solutions architects, you can quickly get kind of lost in this big sea of what do we do next. So it's just getting a program off the ground. Loyalty360, you guys do a great job of promoting these new programs and experiences are in market, but what people don't often see is what it takes to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned, some of the things you're doing for your clients. What is working right now for your clients with regard to customer loyalty? I said earlier, we talked about some of the challenges with regard to kind of reporting and insight and understanding the program. I think there's a kind of a pretty significant void in that regard. But what is working for customer loyalty with your clients? And can you give us an example or two, some things that you're doing to help your clients drive deeper customer loyalty?
A lot of that comes down to strategic guidance that we offer during our quarterly business reviews as a company. And even with those, there's actually two parts. It's insights into program, what's working, what's not working, recommendations on where they should go next. And then there's a technology component that kind of sits behind that, is what would we do to help you enable that change or that evolution in the program. So every successful program has to evolve and it has to continue to change. So there's a cadence that we work through to with our clients to help that continuous evolution. There's two very recent examples though that come to mind are with two key clients that we have with Hertz. And Hertz has been a client for a very long time. And Fleet Farm was a new client in the past year or so. We launched a program, but they're both examples, I think, of technology strategy coming together. So both of those clients and programs are up for Best Loyalty Program of the Year. It's an International Loyalty Awards ceremony. I think Hertz actually won at the Loyalty360 last fall for a similar. So they continue to win, and it's just this partnership between technology, strategy, and our group, coupled with technology and strategy at the client location. So we're going to be joining both Hertz and Fleet Farm in London. I think it's coming up in June, to celebrate the success of those programs. So I think that's a true, when the industry or organizations such as Loyalty360 and others kind of recognize, and people vote and, applaud success in the market, that's when we feel really good about, celebrating those successes together.
Okay, great. And when you look at the challenge we had with regard to metrics, with regard to program valuation, benchmarks, huge challenge in that regard. We're actually working on a kind of a KPI metric study right now with all our clients, which is quite interesting to look at it more from an industry perspective. But is that something you're seeing with your clients, and how do you help them assess the program valuation, customer lifetime value, those deep metrics? Seem to be, remiss in many programs.
They are, ironically, and it's surprising, but it continues to repeat. So it's not as surprising as it used to be. But there's a lot of the very tangible data that gets collected as part of any program down to the consumer level, and we know all their purchase behavior, and there's so many metrics and that we report on. That there's industry level benchmarks that we have that we use to educate our clients on what their competitors are doing and how they stack up. But you're right, we saw that need actually a couple of years ago, and our consultative engagements historically had revolved around program design, really kind of starting from the ground up. And sometimes these programs were already in market. So it actually would start with what's working, what's not working. But what Don Smith and our leadership team have done across strategy and analytics was to productize some of these more short-term consultative engagements. We call it fast track consulting. But they're, and it's been very helpful just to break down. There's a group of modules across analytics and another group of modules across strategy. And, the first one, for example, starts with program health assessment. What's working, what's not working, that comparison against industry benchmarks, and tangible, like, time frame, deliverables. It's very predictable. They're smaller consultative engagements. They only take a couple of weeks in some cases, maybe a couple of months at max. But our clients come away with tangible next steps. What isn't working? What should we do differently? And to evolve a program, whether we're running it or not, is really independent of that. And so we've packaged up these modules, and the health assessment being probably the most common one, but the cost benefit analysis, the competitive evaluation, and our emotional loyalty track, is part of that actually as well. Just getting to both the hearts and the minds of the consumers, and understanding how connected they really are with the program or the experience or the brand in general. So we've made an attempt to productize those consultative engagements to help address that.
Okay. When you look at technologies, we mentioned earlier, it's and everyone knows it's rapidly evolving. Is there a current trend, a new technology, or kind of maybe a customer loyalty focused idea that you believe is very important for brands to consider today, who are customer centric or focused on customer loyalty?
One topic, I don't know if it's the most important, but one topic we've been tracking for a while, and we presented it at NRF several times, was just this connection with facial recognition and identity. And I do think that it's been slow to take off, but with everyone using it to unlock their phone and doors, and it's everywhere. And so we have some partners. We continue to try to push that in terms of it would always be an opt-in experience to add your photo to your profile and use that as a form of identification, whether it's for loyalty or payment. But you see it in airports now, getting into the lounge, getting on the airplane. And so a lot of our clients in the retail space, they have a customer facing display at the point of sale. They have digital displays throughout the store. So it's a great opportunity if people, as they get more comfortable with that additional level of opt-in relative to privacy, to use your face I think it'll help enable a more seamless experience that we're all trying to strive towards. So it's not mandatory or necessarily even cutting edge, but I think there's going to be more of a loyalty integration there. But in general, I think it's having the customer experience and the desired customer experience to lead the tech implementation. So we've seen, I think, a big trend just is organizationally, marketing and technology working together. So not sequential and not in parallel, but actually concurrently working together and so that's been exciting. And I think it's a way that we can make sure that we're focused on the right things. I keep going back to strategy, I guess, instead of technology, but Don would say that any successful program has to have that core value proposition,
right,
but also has to have that enabled that customer experience and to enable that higher level of emotional loyalty and engagement and that connection that people feel. So It's not just a strategy conversation. So how do you deploy that? And so very tightly integrated with technology strategy and CX people and loyalty marketers coming together.
Absolutely. And the last question we have, somewhat self-serving, what can Loyalty360 do, and it's a trade association for the industry, to help others in their customer loyalty and customer experience journeys?
So one thought is, and I think the publications that you guys put out and the conferences and the conversations you enable are powerful and helpful for all of us, just to kind of stay connected and see what others are doing and what's a little bit of what's working, what's not working, and it helps us all be competitive. It helps us make connections with brands and providers. But I go back to that some of your questions around just these bite-sized chunks of a lot of what we see is the end result in market. And we look at these programs around the world and say, oh, that's interesting, or that's kind of cool, or people are really reacting positively to this type of program. And a lot of them, don't have point accrual anymore. It truly is about the experience that we're trying to enable with the knowledge that we have around the customer, just making the best use of it. But one thought that I had, is it's great to see kind of the end result, but I think the journey to get there is important, and to break that into pieces and maybe take some of those case studies, break them apart and have a little bit or share. We could all share more insights in how do you achieve that vision? How did it start? Was there an MVP, that kind of evolved and built and expanded around the world? Did the program design, did you try something and it failed and then we pivoted and tried something else? Was there a pilot in different parts of the world or different parts of the country or across different stores? And so I think it's that the journey is the key word. It's just breaking it down into pieces and you could solicit all of us to kind of contribute to how do you achieve that vision? So that was one thought along those lines, differently, to just kind of break things into more bite-sized micro level steps and towards that end state.
And no, we're very interested in doing more case studies. So we actually have what's called a lunch and learn now. It's a brand only piece, but we do them on Fridays. We've done 2 or 3 of them this year. And we started doing case studies out of that. And we have a couple of getting client sign off is one thing, but a brand gets together, they talk about where the program is, where it was, challenges, how they identified them, how they brought in solutions. And then, we also have some other entities who want to tell their story in a case study. But yeah, the case studies are very important. We've heard consistently there's an interest in them. Getting them kind of approved by corporate is another area of interest. So you can do it anonymously as well. But no, that's a huge area of focus for us. Said, well, we do these lunch and learns on Friday for brands only, but then the whole idea is kind of package them up and have a case study for all members of Loyalty360. And, we have a couple of those in process right now.
Yeah, excellent. I think it's just that sharing of information and ideas and it's helped the entire industry kind of improve over time. So it's I always appreciate you guys and the contribution you make to that.
Absolutely. Well, Bill, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today. Congratulations again on your promotion. Stay away from the owls, and we look forward to hearing more throughout the year from you and Brierley.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. It was good talking to you.
Absolutely. I also want to thank everyone else for listening today. Make sure you tune back in for another edition of Loyalty Live. Have a wonderful day.